You think your screen looks pixelated because of your GPU, but GPU has nothing to do with it. It looks muddy because the human who painted it was replaced by an algorithm guessing what a rock looks like. Back in 2006, artists painted Saradile's cobblestones by hand, tile by tile. Today, a neural network hallucinates 1,000 rocks per patch, and nobody signs the work. So what economic law makes firing the painters the rational business move? And which toggle in your graphics menu is laundering the evidence? Three payoffs in order. 1. The layoff nobody noticed. 2. The economic disease that ordered it, landing by minute 4. And 3. The toggle in your graphics menu that launders it by minute 6. You have seen the list. 10 jobs AI will replace. And the texture painter is always on that list. Parked somewhere between truck driver and paralegal. Here is what the listicles miss. When the upscaler fills in a clip face, it never adds detail. It averages every rock it has ever seen and paints the mean. The old texture was a decision. The new one is a probability. The working name is semantic degradation. Upscalers like DLSS or FSR don't magically conjure new detail. They analyze a low-resolution image and hallucinate plausible pixels based on statistical patterns. It's not rendering a rock, but rather rendering the mathematical average of 1,000,000 rocks. That's where the smearing comes from. The deliberate edges of hand-painted art just get dragged into a muddy blur. Look at the background props. You'll see a symmetrical noise. Geometry that literally melts into the pavement. The algorithm has no idea what a cobblestone is. It only knows what a cobblestone usually looks like in a training set. And the worst part is that studios let you blame your own rig. You're sitting there tweaking your NVIDIA control panel, thinking your 3050 Ti is bottlenecking the scene. But your hardware is fine. The game is just feeding it a lossy, automated pipeline and slapping a next-gen label on it. So if the result is this ugly, why would a multi-billion-dollar studio intentionally ship it? Because the alternative is paying humans. There's this economic rule all the way from 1966 called Baumol's cost disease. It is the reason a live symphony ticket costs a fortune today, while a flat-screen TV costs almost nothing. In 2006, it took an environment artist about 4 hours to hand-paint a high-res cobblestone texture. In 2026, it still takes 4 hours. The human speed limit for painting a rock has not changed, but the wages those painters demand have doubled. And they have to. They're competing for rent and groceries with software engineers whose productivity actually skyrocketed. The cost of human art just exploded relative to everything else. And the studio still promised the players a massive new zone every 6 weeks. The payroll per 100 painters just broke the budget. So instead of hiring more painters, they bought more servers. The live service model is a treadmill. If the game stops feeding the algorithm new zones every 6 weeks, the revenue drops. You cannot hire 100 more painters to meet that deadline without bleeding money. So, the studios changed the job board. They stopped looking for environment artists and started hiring AI content specialists. They are literally paying tech bros to prompt the machine that replaced the painters. Infamously known as the AI slop, the muddiness is the direct aesthetic footprint of an industrial model that decided human intent was just too expensive. But they cannot just sell you a muddy game. They have to sell you an upgrade. Which brings us to the trap sitting right inside your graphics menu. Every patch cycle, the PR team promises a 4K next-gen update. It sounds like an upgrade, but it's actually a trap. There's yet another ancient economics principle called the Goodhart's law. It says that once a metric becomes the target, it stops being a useful measure. The studio needs to print 4K on the store page. They don't care if the image actually looks good. They just need the pixel count to match the bullet point. You are going to tell me it looks fine on your screen. And of course, it does. It is engineered to pass at a glance. The degradation is something you have to actively find. They render the game at 1080p to save money, and force your 3050 Ti to stretch it to 4K using AI. They hit their 4K target, and the art direction died. The upscaler that's posing as a graphics feature is actually an accounting trick to hide the layoffs. If you have ever turned off DLSS or FSR just to make the game stop looking like an oil painting left out in the rain, hit the like button. That is the signal YouTube needs to know we see through the accounting trick. The ugly graphics are just the symptom. The real casualty is the archive. When a human paints a texture, they leave behind layers and intent. When a neural network generates it, the source file is a black box. For years, the modding community kept these games alive. They reverse engineered the assets and fixed what the studio broke. Then the recent patches hit. Modders woke up to a jumbled mess of polygons. The studio changed the art style and the underlying rendering pipeline to lock out human editing. Unfortunately, you cannot mod a neural weight. And when the community tried to archive the old hand-painted textures, the studio's lawyers sent DMCA takedowns. They are actively erasing the digital history of their own game to hide the downgrade. The Internet Archive calls this a vanishing culture. When the servers shut down in 10 years, there will be nothing left to restore. Just a graveyard of fired painters and a locked black box. So how do you prove a zone is pumped full of slop? As a disclaimer, these shortcuts predate Gacha studios, and they simply copied from the AAA playbook. You can prove it if you stop looking at the shiny main characters and you start looking at the trash. The model doesn't understand language, so background shop signs turn into alien calligraphy. It doesn't understand physics, so stairs clip through walls. And shadows fall in 3 different directions at once. Then, look for asymmetrical noise. A human painter balances the composition. An upscaler just sprays statistical static into the corners to hit a file size target. They sold us next gen as a promise of bigger worlds and sharper textures. But peel back the marketing, and the emperor has no clothes. Just a server rack guessing what a rack looks like to protect a profit margin. Real agency means supporting the human modders who are actually keeping these worlds on life support. It means seeing automated for what it is. A polite word for cheap. We expose the art pipeline. But next week, the studio tries to win you back. We're tearing down the psychology, the Genshin 7.0 fresh start return funnel, and the dark patterns designed to hook you all over again. I'll see you in the next one.